The sun did not rise gently over Red Mesa. It attacked the earth like a blazing judgment, setting the prairie on fire with gold and blood. And beneath that burning sky, a single gunshot shattered the morning silence. A rider fell from his horse near the canyon ridge, dust swallowing his last breath. And standing over him was Colt Mercer, the most feared cowboy between the Rio Grande and the northern rail lines. Folks said Colt didn't chase trouble. Trouble saddled up and followed him. But this time, the blood on the sand wasn't spilled for money or land. It was spilled for a woman whose name the wind carried in whispers, a pony, daughter of an Apache chief, fierce as the desert and proud as the hawk circling overhead. Colt had first seen her at the trading post weeks earlier, her dark eyes steady as a rifle barrel, her silence louder than any saloon piano. She wasn't meant for men like him. Their worlds were divided by gunsmoke and old wars, yet the frontier had a way of tangling destinies tighter than barbed wire. Rumors spread fast in the territory. They said a pony had been promised to a warrior of her tribe to seal peace among scattered bands. They said she had refused. They said she had walked alone into the desert rather than bow her head. What none of them knew was that she had crossed paths with Colt again at Devil's Wash, where bandits ambushed her small escort. Colt hadn't hesitated. His revolver spoke swift and final, and when the dust settled, only he and a pony remained standing. She had looked at him not with gratitude, but with fury. "I did not ask for your bullets," her eyes seemed to say. And maybe she hadn't, but from that moment on, their fates were braided like rawhide rope. Now, standing over the dead outlaw at Red Mesa, Colt knew the stakes had risen. The man he'd shot was connected to Elias Boone, a ruthless land baron who wanted the Apache, driven out and the mesas stripped for silver. Boone believed fear was the only law the West understood. He had offered Colt money once to track a pony's people, to betray them. Colt had refused. That refusal had drawn a line in the sand. Boone responded by sending riders, by spreading lies, by turning settlers against the tribe. And in the middle of that growing storm stood a pony, unbent, unbroken. When Colt found her again that evening, she was tending a wounded Mustang near the dry riverbed. The sunset painted her in crimson light, like a warrior carved from flame. He told her Boone was coming with 20 men. He told her the soldiers would follow if given an excuse. She listened without blinking. "Why do you warn me?" she finally asked, her voice calm as still water. Colt searched for an answer worthy of the truth. Because somewhere between gunfire and silence, he had come to respect her spirit more than his own hardened code. Because the West had taken enough from both their peoples. Because under that burning sun, something forbidden had begun to grow. "Because this land ain't Boone's," he said, "and you ain't his to claim." But the word claim hung heavy between them. In the West, claiming meant ownership, land, cattle, gold, even hearts. Colt had never claimed anything he couldn't defend with iron. Yet looking at a pony, he understood she was not something to possess. She was something to stand beside or lose forever. As night swallowed the desert, distant riders' torches flickered along the ridge like a line of angry stars. Boone was moving faster than expected. A pony rose, her posture straight as a spear. "Then we do not run," she said. "We stand." Colt nodded, feeling the weight of choice settle into his bones. Under the burning sun, war was coming, not just for land, but for honor, for love, and for a future neither of them had dared to imagine. Dawn broke with the roar of hooves. Boone's men charged across the flats, rifles raised, shouting victory before the battle even began. Smoke burst from their barrels, tearing through sagebrush and stone. Colt fired back from behind a rocky outcrop, each shot measured, each breath steady. Beside him, a pony moved like the wind itself, swift, precise, fearless. She did not fight as someone rescued. She fought as someone defending what was sacred. The clash echoed through the canyon, a thunder of steel and will. 2 of Boone's riders fell before they reached the ridge. The rest hesitated, realizing they had not come to scatter frightened prey, but to face warriors bound by something stronger than fear. Boone himself rode forward, his black coat flapping like a vulture's wings. He called out to Colt, offering gold one last time. offering safety in exchange for surrendering the Apache camp's location. Colt spat into the dust. "You can't buy what ain't for." "Sail." Boone's eyes shifted to, "A pony. This land will be mine," he snarled. "And so will everything on it." That was the moment the truth hardened inside. Colt like forged steel. This fight was no longer about survival. It was about drawing a boundary no tyrant could cross. The battle surged again, closer, louder. A bullet grazed Colt's arm, burning hot, but he did not falter. A pony leapt from cover to pull a fallen rider's rifle, her braid whipping behind her like a banner of defiance. Together, they pushed Boone's men back, toward the narrow pass, where numbers meant nothing and courage meant everything. One by one, the hired guns retreated, dragging their wounded, their confidence shattered. Only Boone remained, fury twisting his face. He aimed at a pony in a final act of spite. Time seemed to freeze beneath the blazing sky. Colt stepped into the line of fire and pulled the trigger first. Boone fell from his saddle, dust rising around him like a curtain closing on a wicked play. Silence reclaimed the canyon, broken only by the wind's low hymn. The surviving riders fled, carrying word that the mesa was no easy prize. Colt swayed, blood seeping through his sleeve, but a pony caught him before he fell. For a long moment they stood together beneath the merciless sun that had witnessed it all. Violence, loyalty, sacrifice. "You stood," she said softly. Colt managed a tired grin. "Told you I would." What passed between them then was not ownership. Not conquest, not a claim carved by dominance. It was a promise freely chosen. In the days that followed, settlers who had doubted began to question Boone's lies. Without his threats, the hunger for forced land faded. Dogs replaced gunfire. The mesa remained Apache land, and a fragile peace took root like stubborn desert grass after rain. Colt did not become a chief, nor did a pony abandon her people. Instead, he built a small homestead at the edge of the territory, not as a conqueror, but as a guardian who understood the cost of crossing lines drawn by greed. One evening, as the sun dipped low and painted the horizon in molten gold, a pony stood beside him, overlooking the vast open frontier. "Under this burning sun," she said, "many men tried to claim what was not theirs." Colt looked at her, seeing strength, fire, and the future reflected in her gaze. "Ain't about claiming," he answered quietly. "It's about choosing." She placed her hand in his, not as surrender but as partnership. And so the legend of Red Mesa spread across the Wild West, not a tale of a cowboy who conquered an Apache woman, but of two souls who defied hatred and stood united against tyranny. The story became a whisper carried by desert winds, a reminder that even in the harshest lands, respect can bloom where violence once ruled. The burning sun still rises over that mesa, fierce and unyielding, but it shines upon a land defended by courage and a bond forged in fire. This was their stand, this was their choice, and this was the true end of their story beneath the burning sun.